All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're figuring out exactly how to build a 30 to 60-second promotional piece, taking it from an entirely blank, kind of intimidating page, all the way to a concrete, rock-solid master plan. If you've ever stared at that dreaded blinking cursor, wondering how to translate all those swirling ideas in your head into a compelling visual story, you are in the exact right place. We're going to demystify the entire creative sequence for you. Now, here's a stark reality we have to face right out of the gate in production. A weak script? Well, it always leads to a weak final product. It honestly doesn't matter if you have top-tier editing skills or camera equipment that costs more than a car. You absolutely cannot edit your way out of a bad story. An effective script, on the other hand, is your mandatory foundation. It details every single visual and audio moment before anyone even thinks about touching a lens. It's your ultimate safety net. So, here is our roadmap for getting there. We'll start with the script foundation, check out the 3-part blueprint, move into starting your storyboard, sketching the visuals, locking down camera and audio details, and finally assembling the final master plan. Okay, part 1. The script foundation. This is where we build the written plan. Look, before you even think about sketching a box or shooting a single frame, you need a highly calculated roadmap. This written plan tells you exactly what your audience will see and hear at any given moment. Think of it as the literal DNA of your narrative. It's not just about catchy dialogue. A real script forces you to make definitive choices about pacing, tone, and messaging super early on. It makes sure that your main goal, connecting with the audience, is baked right into the core of the project. Moving on to part 2, the 3-part blueprint. Let's talk about structuring your timing. This structure is absolutely vital, especially for a tight 30-second promo. It's exactly like a recipe where the proportions have to be perfect. Why so strict? Because you have to stop the scroll in the first 3 to 5 seconds. That's your hook. Once you've snagged their attention, you get a solid 20 seconds to deliver the real meat of your message and its emotional value. Then, boom. You close with a definitive 5-second call to action. Tell them exactly what to do next. Sticking to this blueprint guarantees your promo is punchy and incredibly efficient. Which brings us to part 3, starting your storyboard. Time to create the visual blueprint. To build this storyboard, we're going to use a foolproof 6-step method. You start with the text script we just perfected, systematically divide it into manageable scenes, sketch them out, add camera directions, layer in the audio and text notes, and finally, calculate the exact durations. This step-by-step sequence completely removes all the guesswork from the planning process. No more just winging it. Let's actually apply this to a real-world example. Say, a local coffee shop called Morning Brew. Notice how every single distinct moment of action and audio gets its own dedicated row. First 5 seconds? Visual is coffee beans pouring, seamlessly paired with some upbeat music starting. Next 5 seconds, visual shifts to a barista pouring milk, right as the voiceover says, "At Morning Brew, coffee is more than a drink." Breaking your script down into this granular second-by-second grid turns a really daunting task into something surprisingly straightforward. All right, part 4, sketching the visuals. Let's bring these scenes to life. Now, if the very idea of drawing makes you break out in a cold sweat, take a breath. Seriously, if you can draw a rectangle that looks vaguely like a microwave, you are doing great. We are going for communication here, not fine art. Stick figures and wobbly shapes are perfectly fine as long as you focus on composition, knowing exactly where the main elements are sitting in the frame. Use simple arrows to indicate movement. And honestly, if a drawing is a little too messy, just use your words. Labeling a weird square as coffee machine completely solves the problem. Check this out. As an example, a simple box, a couple of arrows pointing down, and a highly visible note saying beans pouring. That completely handles scene 1. Anyone looking at this knows exactly what needs to happen on screen. It's functional, it's undeniable, and 0 fine arts degree is required. Okay, part 5, camera and audio details. Time to start directing the action. This cheat sheet gives you the standard industry vocabulary and simple symbols to clearly communicate how the camera should behave. For instance, a magnifying glass means a close-up, where the subject fills the frame. A left-to-right arrow, that indicates a pan. By using these standard terms, like wide shot or tilt, you ensure that when you hand this off to an editor or a camera person, there is absolute 0 confusion. Everyone is on the exact same page. But it's not just about the camera moves. We also have to map out exactly what the viewer hears and reads at the same time. Let's look at scene 4. We pair a visual of the coffee shop with the spoken audio, a connection with community, and we simultaneously drop in a text overlay reading, fresh coffee, warm community. This level of detailed mapping guarantees that your visuals, your voiceover, and your text are all working together in harmony instead of fighting for the viewer's attention. Finally, part 6, the final master plan. Let's calculate that duration. By tracking the time for our 6 scenes, we mathematically ensure our promo hits that strict 30-second mark. Scene 1 is 5 seconds, scene 2 is 5 seconds, all the way down. This is your ultimate quality control, guys. It stops you from designing a gorgeous storyboard that accidentally takes a minute and a half to unfold. It forces discipline, keeping your pacing incredibly tight and perfectly aligned with that 3-part blueprint we talked about earlier. So there you have it. You now understand how to translate a simple text foundation into a fully comprehensive visual master plan. You know how to structure the timing, sketch the visuals without stressing over art skills, and map out camera and audio details perfectly. The next time you see a 30-second ad that truly makes you feel something, remember, it wasn't an accident. Someone built this exact blueprint. The tools are completely in your hands now. So, what blank page are you going to conquer today?